Angus and Laura's wedding in Somerset is a picturesque picture of the English countryside. The sun floods the green meadows, and the centuries-old church is filled with warm light and joyful shouts. But even in this idyllic setting there is a slight sense of tension. Charles, who has arrived at the very last moment, creates chaos with his tardiness. It is as if he is constantly fighting against the passage of time, always late, as if afraid of missing something important. Scarlett, his neighbor, observes his vanity with obvious sarcasm, but her irony hides a tender affection. Fiona, always elegant and collected, tries to hide her displeasure, but her eyes betray her irritation at Charles's unpunctuality. Tom, on the contrary, takes everything with good-natured humor, brotherly bantering with his friend. Gareth, as usual, does not miss an opportunity to let go of a barbed remark, diffusing the situation with his eccentricity. Matthew remains a calm observer. He is attentive to details and appreciates every moment like no one else. David, expressing his emotions through gestures, happily welcomes his friends, drawing them into his own world. He runs around the church looking for any ring symbolizes his fear of commitment and responsibility. In his haste, he grabs inappropriate rings, which also reflects his carelessness in matters of the heart. While Charles's speech at the wedding reception is a mixture of sincerity and awkwardness, he stutters every now and then, inserts inappropriate jokes and embarrasses the guests, but in his eyes reads kindness and desire to make everyone happy. This shows his vulnerability and immaturity, but at the same time it is sympathetic and endearing. Meeting Carrie is like a ray of light in his everyday life. When their gazes meet, it is as if time stops and the whole world around them disappears. The dialogues are filled with flirtation and mutual interest. They share their thoughts, dreams, and doubts with each other. He is fascinated by her American directness and openness, her ability to be sincere and real. The night spent together is filled with passion and tenderness. They feel the attraction, like magnets, and cannot tear themselves away from each other. However, the sadness of the upcoming separation hovers in the air like an invisible shadow. The morning breakfast conversation, when Carrie announces her departure, is filled with a pang of sadness. Charles, despite his mask of nonchalance, feels his heart clench painfully. He realizes that something special has sprung up between them that could grow into something more, but their paths diverge. Carrie's phrase "perhaps we missed a great opportunity" sounds like a sentence, like an unrealized dream. At Bernard and Lydia's wedding, Charles, although trying to behave as usual, is no longer the same. He is more withdrawn and pensive, his gaze drifting back and forth to Carrie, who has appeared with the groom. He tries to suppress his jealousy and pain, but it is given to him with great difficulty. The sight of Carrie with Hamish causes him a sense of hopelessness. He realizes that he has missed his chance and that Carrie no longer belongs to him. Fiona, seeing Charles's suffering, can no longer contain her feelings. Her declaration of love is a desperate cry of the soul that drowns in a raging sea of unrequited feelings. She reveals her vulnerability, but receives only friendly support. And Gareth, as usual, becomes the cause of chaos. His drunken behavior, on the one hand, comical, but on the other demonstrates his vulnerability and defenselessness. And this is where Matthew's touching concern for Gareth comes through. She's like a quiet light amidst all the mess. The wedding at a mutual friend's house becomes another torment for Charles. He tries in vain to flirt with Carrie, knowing that she is about to be married. He feels extremely awkward and stupid. His attempts are like a cry of despair, but he can't stop. He sees Carrie with her fiancé again and again, and it's like a knife in his heart. And then tragedy strikes with Gareth's sudden death. It's an event that turns everything upside down. Gareth's funeral is a heartbreaking scene filled with grief and sorrow. The reading of Auden Matthews' poem, full of feeling and pain, makes everyone present cry. In this moment, Charles is acutely aware of the fragility of life and the importance of showing his feelings before it is too late. He looks at Matthew and realizes how important it is to talk about his feelings openly and sincerely, and that he has no right to keep his own quiet. Coming to America and Carrie's wedding is the emotional peak of the entire narrative. Charles realizes that this is his last chance, that he cannot just give up. He runs away from the wedding, indulging in reflection on his life. He analyzes his past and realizes that his love for Carrie is the most precious thing he has. He blames himself for his indecision and fear of commitment. He realizes that he has been living wrong all this time and that he needs to change his life. Carrie's sudden appearance in front of him, her declaration of love, is like a gift of fate. They talk to each other frankly and honestly, expressing their true feelings. They finally shed their fears and doubts and open up to each other completely. Their decision not to rush into marriage, but to give their relationship time, becomes a symbol of maturity and wisdom. The ending of the film is not just a happy ending, but a realization that true love does not always obey strict rules and templates. It can arise unexpectedly and require courage and frankness. It teaches us to appreciate every moment and not to be afraid to take risks for the sake of happiness.